Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dritaya Iva Swasanti Asu Brito Yadi Te Anuvida Mahad Aham Adayo Annam Asrijam Yadanugrahataha Purusa Vido Anvayo Tra Charamo Na Maya Dishu Yaha Sadasattaha Parang Tvam Ata Yad Ishvu Avasesham Ritam Dritaya Eva Svasayanti Asubrito Yadite Anuveda. Let's try Sadhu Samyastika. Mahadaham Adayo Annam Asrijam Yadanugrataha. Purusa Bido Vaya Tra Charamunam Maya Disuyaha. Sadasatta Parang Tvam Ato Atayad Ishva Sheshamritam. Jitaya Iva Swasyanti Asu Brito Yadite Anuveda. Mahadaham Adayondam Asrijam Yadanugrahata. Purusha Vidondayontra Charamunna Maya Dishuya. Sadasatak Param Tvam Atayad Ishvasesham Ritam. Jataya Iva Swaseyandya Shubrito Yadite Anuvidha. Mahadham Adayundam Asrijan Yadanugrahata. Purusha Vido Anvayontra Charamunna Maya Disuyaha. Sadasat Parang Tvam Atayadishva Ashesham Ritam. Dritayaha bellows, Iva as if, Svasanti they breathe, Asubritaha, alive. Yadi, if. Te, your. Anuvidaha, faithful followers. Mahat, total material energy. Aham, false ego. Adeha, and the other elements of creation. Andam, the universal egg. Asrajan, produced. Yat, whose. Anugrahataha, by the mercy. Purusha, of the living entity. Vidaha, according to the particular forms. Anvayaha, whose entrance. Atra, among these. Charamaha, the ultimate. Anamaya adishu, among the manifestations, known as Anamaya, and so on. Yaha, who, sadasataha, from gross and subtle matter. Param, distinct. Tvam, you. Ata, furthermore. Yet, which. Eshu, among these. Avashesham, underlying. Ritam, the reality. So, translation by the followers of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Only if they become your faithful followers are those who breathe actually alive. Otherwise, their breathing is like that of a bellows. It is by your mercy alone that the elements, beginning with Mahat Tattva and false ego, created the egg of this universe. Among the manifestation known as Anamaya and so forth, you are the ultimate one, entering within the material coverings along with the living entity and assuming the same form as those he takes. Distinct from the gross and subtle material manifestations, you are the reality underlying them all. The translation, please repeat. Only if they become your faithful followers are those who breathe actually alive. Otherwise, their breathing is like that of a bellows. It is your mercy alone that the elements, beginning with the Mahatattva and false ego, created the egg of this universe. Among the manifestations, known as Annamaya and so on, you are the ultimate one, entering within the material coverings, along with the living entity, and assuming the same forms as those he takes. Distinct from the gross and subtle material manifestations, you are the reality underlying them all. So I think this is the longest purport in the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's like 4 or 5 pages long. We should have broken the purport up. Anyway, we're here. So we'll just read some and make comments and read some and make comments. So we'll do our Mangalacharan now, if the Vaishnavas permit. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Didati Svaparandigam Adadanastryanandandai Vridam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padambujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripasindhuveva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So this is the purport written by the followers of His Divine Grace. Life is without purpose for one who remains ignorant of his most well-wishing benefactor and thus fails to worship him. Such a person's breathing is no better than the breathing of a blacksmith's bellows. The gift of human life is a fortunate opportunity for the conditioned soul, but by turning away from his Lord, the living being commits spiritual suicide. In the words of Sri Ishupanishad number 3, Asurya namate loka andena tamasavrita tamste pretya bigachanti yeke chatmahano janaha. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. Asurya means to be obtained by demons. And demons are persons who have no devotion for the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. This is a definition stated in the Agni Purana. So this human life is a gift. There's 8,400,000 species of life, 84 lakhs. But only, and of those, 400,000 are human. Even of those, very few are actually civilized. And even of those civilized, there's very few who are actually interested in spiritual life. And even among those, Krishna says, out of millions of men, hardly one knows me in truth. So, but this human form of life is a gift by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to give us a chance to get free from this ocean of birth and death. Otherwise, here, we hear this over and over again in Bhagavatam, this example, that even though we're breathing, you're breathing. If you don't take up spiritual life, if you don't worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu, it says here, then it's just like a blacksmith's bellows, no benefit to it. Because Prabhupada constantly reminds us that atato brahma jignasa. Atato means now. And now means after this 84 lakh species of life, now you have this human life. Take advantage and worship the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, life is useless. Your eyes are just like the eyes on the peacock. Your breathing is like the bellows. So we hear all these verses again and again. So now we'll hear from Agni Puran. Vobhuta sargo loke yasmin daiva asura evacha Vishnu bhakti paro daiva asuras tad viparyaha. There are two kinds of created beings in this world, godly and demoniac. Those dedicated to the devotional service of Lord Vishnu are godly, and those opposed to such service are demoniac. So here are the two classes of people in this world, those who are worshiping Krishna and those who are against the worship of Krishna. So those who are worshiping Krishna, they're suras. And the opposite means those who are against the devotional service of the Lord, asura. These are the two types of people we meet in this world. If we're fortunate, we run into a pure devotee who engages us, even if we're demons, he engages us in the devotional service of the Lord and we become perfect. Similarly, the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad states, Na ched avedin mahati vinasti ye tad vidur amritaste bhavantya te tare dukam eva apayanti. If one does not come to know the Supreme, he must suffer utter destruction. Those who realize the Supreme become immortal, but others inevitably suffer. A person must revive his Krishna consciousness to be relieved of the suffering caused by ignorance. But the process by which this is done need not be difficult, as Lord Krishna assures us in the Bhagavad-Gita 9:34. Manmana bhavan bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mami vaishyasi suktaivam atmanam matparayana. Engage your mind in always thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Despite disqualifications and weaknesses, one need only willingly become Anuvida, the Supreme Lord's trusting and trustworthy servant. So just like the government, they always have some big plan. They have a 7-point plan, 10 points plan, 8 points plan. They're always planning. So here's Krishna's plan, 4 points plan. Manmano bhava madbhakto majajimam namaskuru. Manmana, put your mind. We were hearing yesterday so nicely, we should think of Krishna. Manmana bhava madbhakto, become my devotee. Majajimam, worship the Lord. And namaskuru, offer obeisances. This is a 4-point program of Krishna. Very simple. Prabhupada says here the actual process of spiritual life is not difficult. It's not that we have to throw everything away and go to the Himalayas and sit in the middle of the fire in the summertime, and sit in the cold water in the wintertime. No. Here Krishna gives a very simple program. Manmana, just think of me. And so many wonderful pastimes are there. Somebody came to visit me this morning before class, and we were discussing how wonderful Vrindavan is. That as hard as it is in the West to remember Krishna, in Vrindavan it's that hard to forget Krishna. Everywhere we go, there's, we hear some kirtan is going on, or walking, and we see, oh, this is Kali Yuga, where Krishna chastised Kaliya, Then we come into Loy Bazaar, and at the beginning of Loy Bazaar, over the loudspeakers coming Gopal Sahasranam, and then we pass some Nimbark ashram, and they're chanting, their Mahamantra, Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Sham, Sham Sham. Everything reminds us of Krishna. Everything is meant to remind us of Krishna. So this is the purpose of this human life, is to revive our relationship with Krishna as his, Prabhupada says, trustworthy servant. We have to become a trustworthy servant. The Katha Upanishad proclaims, Nitya Nityanam Chaitana Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Jo Vidadati Kaman Tam Pito Gam Ye Anupasyanti Diras Tesham Shanti Shasvat Netaresham. Among all the eternal conscious beings, there is one who supplies the needs of everyone else. The wise souls who worship him in his abode attain everlasting peace. Others cannot. So everybody is after peace. We see in the world, everywhere we look, war is going on. So much destruction, so much suffering. This place is just, Krishna is told in Bhagavad-Gita, Dukhalayam Shashvatam. It is the only place of suffering. Just like we don't remember coming into this particular body, but you can ask your parents, as soon as you came out of the womb, what was the first thing you did? And you think you're going to find happiness here. You came out of the womb, the first thing you did was cry. And you think we're going to find happiness here. But there's no happiness in this world. Only happiness is in Krishna consciousness. And here, this verse is defeating the Mayava philosophy that we're all one. Here it says, Nitya Nityanam. That amongst Nityanam is plural. Among the Nitya, among the eternal beings, Nitya, there's one supreme. He's supplying everything to the many. Bahu, to the many he's supplying. Just like we're very proud of all of our factories and our computers and so many things, but we cannot make even one grain of rice with all your computers and technology and industry and everything. You can't even make one single grain of rice. So Krishna, he's supplying everything. Nitya Nityanam Chaitanya Chaitanya Eka Bhuvanam Jo Vidada. He's supplying everything for the living entities. So here we get the whole verse now. So it says, the wise souls who worship him in this attain everlasting peace. So here is the peace formula. We have to become devotees of Krishna and worship Krishna. What is alive and what is dead? The bodies and minds of materialistic non-devotees seem to display the symptoms of life, but this appearance is deceptive. Actually, the conditioned soul has little control over his own bodily existence. Against his will, he has to excrete waste, get sick from time to time, and eventually age and die. And in his mind, he unwillingly suffers anger, hankering, and lamentation. Lord Krishna describes the situation as Yantra Rudrani Mayaya, riding helplessly as a passenger on a mechanical vehicle. The soul undoubtedly is alive and irrevocably so, but in his ignorance, that inner life is covered and forgotten. In its place, the automation of external mind and body carries out the dictates of the modes of nature, which force one to act in a way altogether irrelevant to the dormant needs of the soul, calling out to the forgetful prisoners of illusion, the Svetasvatara Upanishad urges. So we're very much attached to this body, but this here Prabhupada is explaining, and he gives a nice verse from Bhagavad-Gita. Yantra means machine. Yantra Rudrani, it is just a machine made of material energy. Prabhupada starts this paragraph, or not Prabhupada, the disciples of Prabhupada. What is dead and what is alive? We're thinking that we're this body, but this body is just a vehicle for the soul. Just like a couple of days ago, we were at the Gurukul, so we had all the children. I said, told them, point to your nose, point to your head, point to your eye, point to your ear, point to your belly, point to your chest, point to your arm. Now point to you. And everybody went like this. I said, you just said that was your chest. So at that point, you can understand, just like everybody said, this is my body. Just like if I say, this is my glasses, you can see there's me, and there's the glasses, too. So nobody says I body, we say my body. There's me, and I'm possessing this body. This body is just a vehicle. But we're identifying with the vehicle. Just like we see the car going down the street, and we say, oh, the car is driving down the street. Don't we, in our ordinary language? But do cars drive? Until a living person gets inside that car, turns on the engine, and the living person drives it. It's not the car is driving down the street. Car is turning the corner. Somebody inside is turning the wheel and making the car turn. We're just the rider in this car. Just like some people, they spend their whole life just like when we were 15 or 16, 17, we were getting cars and tearing them apart and putting them back together, and we're just interested in cars. We paint them, with flames coming out of the bonnet and put chrome reverse wheels, and then we drive down the street and we're saying, wow, look, everybody's looking at me, everybody's looking at my car. But I've identified with the vehicle. Everybody's looking at me, except for the guy behind me. Bam! And then you jump out of the car and you go back, you hit me, you hit me. my dear sir, excuse me, I didn't hit you. My car hit your car. But we've, just like when we're riding in a bus, I give this example because some of the kids from the school, they come here they go by bus every day. It's a big yellow bus going every day. So somebody's illegally parked too close to the corner and the bus is turning. I see the bus is turning. This is the way we speak, huh? And some scratch is going to come. And what do? As if we're going to feel some scratch. Huh? We've been riding in this vehicle for so long, we've identified ourselves with the bus. The bus is going to get a scratch and we're going, We're riding so long in this body, we've identified with this body. But this body is just a machine. And this conscious soul, the first symptom of life is consciousness. A conscious soul enters in this body, then it moves. Just like we see this big crane there. Some guy sitting there inside this crane, this big machine is picking up, tons of materials and putting them up top. We can't do that, but this machine is doing it. So like that, we have this body and we're moving it like this, just like this big crane out here. So the Shweta Upanishad urges, Srinvantu Viswe Amritasya Putra Aye Damani Divyani Tastu. All of you sons of immortality, here you were once, you who once resided in the divine kingdom. The Shweta Upanishad tried to wake us up. You lived in this divine kingdom. You were immortal. We can see, just like Krishna gives a nice example for us to understand how we're not this body. Our favorite verse, Bhagavad-Gita. Denosmin nita dehe komaram jovanam jara tatra dehantara prapti dira tatra namuyati. Krishna gives a simple example. Komaram jovanam jara. Komar means little child. Komaram jovanam, youth. Jara, just like now, old age. Just like we may not remember, but one time we had a little body like this, that our mother would hold in her arms. If our mother was still alive, she tried to hold me now, she'd break her back. But I'm still thinking, that's me. I look in the mirror, I said, that's me. Then when I was 5 years old, I was running around and climbing trees and catching lizards and so many things, playing. We were playing baseball, you guys were playing cricket. And girls, when you're 5 years old, girls, that's the most terrible thing. And then we were 15 years old, we're no longer interested in climbing trees and catching lizards and snakes and frogs and stuff. Now we're interested, like I said, now we're interested in cars, My goal in life was to have a 57 Chevy. And now all of a sudden, our mind has also changed. Now we look, girls, that's a very interesting thing. Our mind also changed, body changed. I still look in the mirror, that 15-year-old body, I say, that's me. Then I had a older body. I was no longer interested in cars and things, trying to support my family and raise a family and make more money, somehow chasing after money. I still look in the mirror and I say, now there's a few little gray hairs there, that's me. And then jara means old age. Now we look in the mirror and we see all this silver, where all this nice black hair was there. Somebody was saying this morning they saw a picture of me in the old Portland temple. Nice black hair, now it's all silver. But I still look in the mirror, I said, that's me. So which me are you? Or that little one, the big one, the middle one? So Krishna gives nice examples so we can understand that just like as soon as this, ordinarily, when cloth becomes torn and everything, then we throw away the cloth. I'm still there, but I put on new cloth. Of course, nowadays, torn cloth has become the fashion, but anyway, ordinarily when cloth is torn, you throw it away and get another cloth. So like that, when this body wears out, then you go to another body. So here, we're trying to understand how to get free from this birth and death and birth and death. So on the one hand, what is normally viewed as living, the material body, is in actuality a dead machine being manipulated by the modes of nature. And on the other hand, what the materialist condescendingly views as inert matter meant for exploitation is, in its unknown essence, connected with a living intelligence vastly more potent than his own. The Vedic civilization recognizes the intelligence behind nature as belonging to the demigods who preside over various elements and ultimately to the Supreme Lord himself. Matter, after all, cannot act coherently without the impulse and guidance of a living force. Just like we see, as soon as we see something repeating itself, some system in a very efficient way repeating itself, then we understand there's somebody who's made a system. There's some intelligence there. Just like we see somehow all the water is in the ocean and it's all salty and dirty. But the sun comes, dries it up, raises it up into the clouds. Very wonderful way to transport tons and tons of water. Otherwise, you have to have all these big monster trucks. We see all the petrol trucks on the highway every day. So very efficiently, it raises it up in clouds. It brings it over the mountains. It drops down on top of the mountains and it's stored. And then when the summer comes, when they're in need of water, then that ice melts and flows down, nourishes all living beings, takes away all the impurities back to the ocean, and again, it repeats itself in a very, very efficient manner. So as soon as we see some system working in a very efficient manner over and over, it's not that some days the water evaporates, when the sun comes out, and other days the sun is, 50 degrees, but the water's not evaporating. No, every time it's going over and over and over again. So as soon as we see a system, then we understand there's somebody made the system. So we see in this world so many things going on in a very efficient manner. So we automatically, those who are intelligent, they'll understand there's somebody who's made this. There's some intelligence. Here he keeps repeating this, some intelligence. Matter, after all, cannot coherently act without the impulse and guidance of a living force. As Krishna states in Bhagavad-Gita, Mayagdatyena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena konteya jagaviparivartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. In the beginning of creation, Lord Mahavishnu glanced at the dormant material nature, Prakriti. Thus awakened, the subtle Prakriti began to evolve into more concrete forms. First, the Mahat, then false ego, in conjunction with each of Prakriti's three modes, and gradually the various material elements, including intelligence, mind, the senses, and the five physical elements with their presiding demigods. Even after becoming separately manifested, however, the deities responsible for the various elements could not work together to produce the perceptible world until Lord Vishnu, by his special mercy, once more intervened. This is described in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Ete deva kala Vishnu kala mayam salingana nanatvat swakriya nisha prachu praja pranjalaya vibhum deva uchu nanda nanamate deva padarvindam prapanna tapopasam attapatram yanmula ketayatayon jasaru samsara dukam bahir kshipanti. The controlling deities of the physical elements are empowered expansions of Lord Vishnu. They are embodied by eternal time under the external energy, and they are his parts and parcels. Because they were entrusted with different functions of universal duties, they were unable to perform them. They offered fascinating prayers to the Lord. The demigods said, "O Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet." So we see so many things going on in this world. So there's some beings, higher beings than the human beings on this planet. They're in charge of the different departments. Just like in the city, we have the Department of Light, Department of Sanitation, Water Department, and so many departments. So Krishna, he's sitting in Golok having his wonderful pastimes, but just by his will, all these things are going on. He empowers all these demigods. Just like Prabhupada gives the example, there was one German fellow. Somehow, the Germans had an attachment for studying Sanskrit. So he came to India and he saw all the different demigods. Somebody's got a big trishul, somebody's got a big chopper, somebody's got this, somebody's got that. And he saw this Krishna, he's just playing a flute. So he decided this must be the Supreme Personality of God. Everybody else has got some work to do. He has nothing better to do than play his flute. So he's the Supreme. He came to that conclusion. He is the Supreme. So we see, just like in the very beginning of Bhagavatam, Narad Muni says, I see, everyone thinks, he's talking to his father, Lord Brahma, everybody thinks, seeing your wonderful activities, that you're the Supreme Person. But I have seen that you're worshiping something beyond you. I want to know who that is. Narad Muni was very intelligent. He saw he's worshiping someone else. And so how can he be the Supreme? Well, everyone's calling him the creator. He's the engineer. He can't create anything. Create means to make something from nothing. But Lord Brahma just takes the energy supplied by the Lord and he creates all these different planetary systems and all these different bodies. In fact, this is very interesting. In Vedic literature, the scientists are trying to tell us that the first living being was just some little singular-celled creature running around in the water. But according to Vedic science, the first living being was naturally the most intelligent, Lord Brahma. Then he created everything else, or not, he engineered everything else. He doesn't create anything. So this is our view, that the most intelligent person was the first to be there. And then all the other beings have come after that. Which is makes more sense. The scientists are always coming up with so many theories, and now they got their big telescopes flying in the outer space somewhere, and they're finding out things that things don't work the same way as we thought that whole universe worked the same way. Now they're finding out it doesn't work the same way. They don't know anything. They're just like if I bring a Rembrandt here, and you all go, oh wow, look at this painting, Oh, this guy was very intelligent painter, and he was very famous. If a dog walks in, he looks at the painting, he goes over, first thing he does, he sniffs it. Then he raises up his leg and pees on it. He may even lick it to see if it's eatable. So we can't say he has no knowledge. He knows what it smells like, what it tastes like, what it's like to pee on it. But he can't appreciate, what is it? He doesn't appreciate. So scientists are like that. They're licking and sniffing, but they can't understand the whole picture at all. They have no idea what's going on. They're just like little dogs sniffing at this material energy, and it's always changing and changing. Their theory is always changing. Hearing the prayers of the assembled demigods and of the elements, the Supreme Lord then showed his favor. Itatasam sva shaktinam shantinam as sametyasa prasapta lokatantranam nisam yaskatimishvara kala samgyana tad devim bibrat shaktim urukrama trayun vimsati tatvanam gana yuga pad avishat so nipravish visto bhagavans chesta rupena tam ganam binam samyayam ashva suptam karma prabodayam. The Lord has heard about the suspension of the progressive creative functions of the universe due to the non-combination of his potencies, such as the Mahatattva, The supreme powerful Lord then simultaneously entered into the 23 elements with the goddess Kali, his external energy, who alone amalgamates all the different elements. Thus, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead entered into the elements by his energy, all the living entities were enlivened into different activities, just as one is engaged in his work after waking from sleep. So this Mahatattva is there, but nothing's going on until the Lord enters in. And then he enters in along with Kali, Maya, and everything begins to work. Without him, nothing works. In Krishna, Srila Prabhupada explains the 5 levels of ego covering the self. Within the body, there are 5 different departments of existence, known as Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and at last, Anandamaya. These are enumerated in the Brahmananda Vali of the Taittiriya Upanishad. In the beginning of life, every living entity is food conscious. A child or an animal is satisfied only by getting nice food. This stage of consciousness, in which the goal of life is to eat sumptuously, is called Annamaya. Anna means food. After this, one lives in the consciousness of being alive. If one can continue his life without being attacked or destroyed, one thinks himself happy. This stage is called Pranamaya, or consciousness of one's existence. After this stage, when one is situated on the mental platform, that consciousness is called Manomaya. The material civilization is primarily situated in these 3 stages: Annamaya, Pranamaya, and Manomaya. The first concern of civilized persons is economic development. Next concern is defense against being annihilated. And the next consciousness is mental speculation, philosophical approach to the values of life. Oh, we haven't heard this for a long time, huh? So first stage is Annamaya. Just like we see children, everything goes to the mouth. Whatever they get in their hand, immediately goes to the mouth. Because they're only happy if they eat. Then gradually they become aware of their existence. That's called Pranamaya. Some big dog comes and they run. That they can be extinguished somehow. They become conscious that they're alive. That's Pranamaya. Then one becomes a little intellectual, Manomaya. He begins to speculate and do philosophical searches into what is the purpose of life. This is Manomaya. Then, if one is lucky to get a spiritual master, then he begins to understand things. That's Vijnanamaya. And then, finally, when one reaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Anandamaya. Because the Supreme Lord, he's pure Anand. Okay, we still got some time. If by the evolutionary process of philosophical life, one happens to reach the platform of intellectual life and understands that he is not this material body, but is a spirit soul, one is situated in the Vijnanamaya stage. Then by evolution of spiritual life, he comes to understand the Supreme Lord, or the Supreme Soul. When one develops his relationship with him and executes devotional service, that stage of life is called Krishna conscious, Anandamaya stage. Anandamaya is the blissful life of knowledge and eternity. It is said in the Vedanta Sutra, Anandamaya Obhyasat, the Supreme Brahm and the subordinate Brahm, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the living entities are both joyful by nature. As long as the living entities are situated in the lower four stages of life, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya, they are considered to be in the material condition of life. But as soon as one reaches the stage of Anandamaya, he becomes a liberated soul. This Anandamaya stage is explained in Bhagavad-Gita as the Brahma-bhuta stage. There it is said that in the Brahma-bhuta stage of life, there is no anxiety and no hankering. This stage begins when one becomes equally disposed toward all living entities, and then expands through the stage of Krishna consciousness, in which one hankers to render service under the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This hankering for advancement in devotional service is not the same as hankering for sense gratification in material existence. In other words, hankering remains in spiritual life, but it becomes purified. When our senses are purified, they become free from all material stages, namely Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya. And they become situated in the highest stage, Anandamaya, or blissful life in Krishna consciousness. So we see everyone in this world, they're always hankering the many. Everybody wants to get something that they don't have, and somehow they lose it, then they're lamenting. They're always hankering. Everybody's whole advertising industry is based on this, that we're hankering for something. So they create some artificial need, and then they advertise that we can satisfy your need. You come and get this thing, get that thing, get the latest. Now your old cell phone is useless. Now you have to get the Airphone Air, very thin. You don't have to take up so much space. So everybody's always hankering for something or lamenting that they lost something or that they don't have something. Just like one time I was in South Africa for Rath Yatra, and it's the only place I saw Lord Jagannath comes in a Maserati, Lady Subhadra comes in a Ferrari, and Lord Baladev comes in a Stutz Blackhawk. Because everybody's, because I have a dear friend, he's a financial consultant. He says they're crazy. They see, oh, he's got that, I have to get better. And they said they own cars that cost more than their house, and they don't have the money to pay for it even. But they have to keep up with everyone. They have to be better than, they're always hankering, they have to be better than everyone, better. He said they come to me, they're completely broke, they don't have anything, but they have a car that's more valuable than the house that they live in. So you'll see, here comes Lord Jagannath in a Maserati, and Lady Subhadra in a Ferrari, and somebody else in Baladev in a Stutz Blackhawk. And then, instead of putting the deities up on the cart, they have such a good connection with the city there. They bring that machine, that they go and work on the telephone poles. The pujari gets in the container, whatever you would call it, and then they lift him up on the cart, and he puts Lord Jagannath on the cart and Lord Baladev. Only place I've ever seen this. So everybody's always hankering that I have to get this, they have got that, I have to get it also. And lamenting, oh, I lost this, or I don't have that. But Krishna consciousness means that we understand, the example is given just like an animal. If I'm sold to a new owner, then I have nothing to worry about. My owner is going to take care of me, he's going to give me food. So we know Krishna is taking care of us in Krishna consciousness. To become free from all anxiety. We reach that Anandamaya Abhyasat, that a blissful life of Krishna consciousness. So So anyway, there's still more to go, but our bell has rung, so we should stop here. Hare Krishna. Does anyone has any question?
It seems too philosophically deep to comprehend. When they speak such philosophy, it seems too philosophically deep to totally comprehend our nature as eternal living beings.
Therefore, I tried to give, just like the children in the group, I tried to give them a simple example. We try to make everything very simple. Actually, it is. Everything is very simple. So we try to make everything simple to help them try to understand this is our business. If we don't, just by hearing all these things, it's like some of this stuff I can't understand either. But just, Prabhu said, just read it again and read it again and read it again. One day you'll understand. The main thing to understand is we're not this material body. We're eternal spirit soul. That spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we have a loving relation with Him that's eternal, and our real life is eternal. And simply by chanting Hare Krishna, associating with devotees, taking prasad, we'll all go back to home, back to Godhead. So it's all very simple.
Krishna reveals.
This is a very philosophical part of Srimad Bhagavatam, so everybody's, no questions, everybody's sound asleep. I tried to make it interesting. So if there's no other questions or comments, we can all bow down at the very soft and wonderful lotus feet of the great personality who's trying to engage us in our eternal service to Sri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Deena Bandhu Prabhu ki.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare